Hi there, welcome to our second podcast. Today we will explore Russia from a geographical perspective, and I'm positive that you will learn some interesting facts about the country, its history and geography. With its 11 local times, Russia is one of the countries with the most time zones worldwide. While France and its dependencies stretch across 12 time zones, Russia holds another world record. 10 of the country's 11 time zones cover a contiguous landmass. Only the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, wedged between Lithuania and Poland, breaks that pattern. The country is so big that when someone living in Anadyr, which is the easternmost town neighboring the US, is about to head off to work, someone in Kaliningrad is about to go to bed. So people of the eastern part of Russia literally live in the future. Have you ever heard about Kaliningrad? It's a city of 450,000 people located in the far west of Russia and is surrounded by European countries such as Poland and Lithuania. It's a beautiful place to visit if you are traveling around Europe. It's a very unique location in a way that it's isolated from the rest of the country, and also it's very different to other Russian cities in a way that it has German heritage. Before it was annexed by the USSR after the Second World War, the area was part of an unified German state called East Prussia for 700 years. Its capital has the beautiful medieval city of Königsberg. A lot of people in Russia have a dream to travel by plane from the east of Russia to the west on the New Year's Eve, so they can get to celebrate the New Year's multiple times and make multiple wishes. And we will be talking about the traditional way Russian people celebrate these holidays in our podcasts. Just to give you an idea of how big the country is, a trip from Vladivostok, which is a seaport in the southeast of Russia, to Moscow will take about 9 to 8 hours by plane or a week by train. It's the same amount of time a trip from Hong Kong to Sydney will take. A trip by the Trans-Siberian Railroad is something very unique and special, and is of huge interest to many international visitors. We will be covering this topic in the nearest future, so stay tuned if you are interested to find out more about the country, the places to explore, and other useful information. Just to give you a general idea of how our country is structured, here is a brief overview. The country is divided into 8 federal districts, 12 economic districts, and 85 Russian federal subjects. So there are republics, cities of federal importance, krais, oblasts, which are like states in Australia or in the US, and provinces in Canada. Also we have autonomous regions and autonomous oblasts. One such example is Jewish Autonomous Oblast, which is just a quick train trip from the city where I was born. People who live in the Asian part of Russia are so incredibly close to China, Korea, and Japan, so we learn Asian languages at schools and universities. I actually studied Mandarin at uni. And just the opposite, European languages such as French, German, and Spanish are more popular among those living in the European part of Russia. Geography also determines where we go on holidays. The majority of people who I know would pick Asian countries such as Thailand, China, Korea, Japan, and other Asian countries over European countries. A lot of people living in the far east of Russia do business with Asian countries or simply move to China to study or work there. Many young people and university graduates move to China as they get offered jobs in such fields as logistics, international trade, education, tourism, and other fields. I've also worked in China for a while, and it was a great experience, and I've learned so much about the country and its culture just by being so immersed in it. You can get along without Mandarin, but you will find it difficult to communicate in English, as not everyone speaks English, even in big cities. There is a city in northeastern China called Harbin. Nowadays, it's very famous for its ice sculpture festival, but not many people actually know that it was once a thriving cosmopolitan city and a center for Russian culture. I've been to Harbin myself a few times. It's freezing cold in winter. The temperature can drop down to -30, and it's super hot in summer, around +30 Celsius. My cousin studies international business there, and the program is in Mandarin. I have no idea how people do it, to be honest. Mandarin is not the easiest language to study or speak. If you happen to travel to Vladivostok, and you've never been to China, I would say it's worth a visit. Harbin was founded by Russian colonists in the late 19th century on the banks of the Sungari River inside the territory of the Chinese Empire. In Harbin, before anything else, there was a train station. In 1898, China had granted Russia the right to build a shortcut on the Trans-Siberian Railroad across Manchuria, so from Vladivostok to Chita. For 3 decades in early 20th century, Harbin was among the most cosmopolitan, multi-ethnic cities of the Russian Empire, without rival in the Far East. It had grand boulevards named for Russian writers, onion-domed churches, large businesses. After the revolution, Harbin became the home to a unique culture, that of exiled white Russians driven out by the Bolsheviks' Red Army. Like Shanghai, Harbin, city of no passports, was a home for Russian Jewish culture. Nowadays, a visitor to Harbin will see Russians in fashion advertisements, and Russian in hotels and bars, Russian writing on the walls, and Russian songs played by saxophonists in the street. There is a high demand for European faces. Actually, the cousin I've just mentioned is actually a really popular model in Harbin, and he gets invited to shoot in multiple ads. The Russian culture which created Harbin is still very much on display, but absent of a significant Russian population, and everyday life has disappeared, and the only traces of Russianness, in a way, are objects which can be purchased. So food, souvenirs, clothes. So yes, Harbin is not Russian in any way anymore, but no one can deny its Russian heritage. I've mentioned Harbin and Kaliningrad and touched on their unique history, geography, and cultural heritage. Just to give you an example of how diverse and multicultural our country is, it can also give you an idea of where you can start your Russian journey. If you get a chance to travel to Russia and experience it firsthand, you will understand what I'm talking about. A lot of people have asked me what are the best locations to visit in Russia, and to be honest, it's a very difficult question to answer. It really depends on what interests you most and how much time you have to explore the country. I know some people who have done a road trip across Russia and Mongolia, and it took them 3 months. Some other people I've met cycled from London through Europe and Russia all the way to Asia, and it took them 8 months. We will be exploring some other destinations in Russia which worth a visit in our podcasts. Meanwhile, if you're planning a trip to Russia in the nearest future and would like to brush up your Russian, please feel free to visit the Enjoy Russian Language School YouTube channel. We have just uploaded our new video on Russian winter. We hope you enjoy it. So stay tuned. More podcasts are coming up.